You ever wonder why some absolutely brilliant ideas just fizzle out? They sound amazing in a meeting, but they never actually go anywhere. Well, today we're going to talk about a framework designed to fix that exact problem. It's called CreAtionality, and it's all about turning those flashes of genius into real, tangible results. So here's the plan. We'll kick things off by looking at why design thinking, as great as it is, sometimes isn't enough. Then we'll dive right into the CreAtionality framework and its three core forces. We'll unpack the think, try, adapt cycle, check out some real-world examples from companies you definitely know, and then, and this is the fun part, we'll help you figure out your own innovation profile. Let's do this. Okay, so for the past couple of decades, design thinking has been a total game changer. It completely flipped the script on how we solve problems by putting real people right at the center of everything. It was revolutionary. And it wasn't just a fad. You had the giants, IDEO, Stanford, IBM, SAP, they all jumped on board. They built entire cultures around it. But even with all that success, a little problem started to bubble up to the surface.
This slide really nails the issue. You see, the promise of design thinking was massive, but in reality, it often got trapped. It became a thing you did in a special workshop with special sticky notes, but it didn't always translate into a daily habit. The real challenge was getting it out of the conference room and into people's actual behaviors.
And this is precisely where CreAtionality enters the picture. It's not meant to replace design thinking, but to build a bridge, a way to get those amazing concepts to become part of how we act and think every single day.
So what is it really? Well, at its heart, CreAtionality is all about balancing three fundamental forces: creativity, rationality, and action. And the key word here is integration. This is not a step-by-step recipe. It's more like a constant dance between these three mindsets, all working together in harmony. First up, we've got creativity. This is the engine. This is where you generate all the new possibilities, ask those wild what-if questions, and really try to break out of your usual patterns of thinking. Next, you have rationality. If creativity is the brainstorming chaos, rationality is what gives it shape and structure. It's the analytical part of your brain that kicks in to analyze the options, pick the most promising ones, and build a solid plan. And finally, action. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's that impulse to just try something, to build a quick prototype, get it out into the world, and this is the most important part, learn super fast from what happens next, whether it succeeds or fails. Now, this whole framework might sound like a really nice idea, but what's cool is that it's actually grounded in some pretty solid scientific research. This isn't just theory. It's based on how we're actually wired. Let's take the creativity part. It's backed up by work from psychologists like Mihail Csikszentmihalyi. He basically proved that creativity isn't some mystical gift that only a few lone geniuses have. Nope. It happens in the interaction between a person and their environment. It's a team sport. And get this, the whole balance between creativity and rationality is literally hardwired into our brains. Neuroscience tells us our brain is constantly switching between two networks. One for daydreaming and brainstorming, that's the default mode network, and another one for focusing and planning, the executive control network. CreAtionality is just tapping into that natural rhythm. And as for the action pillar, well, that comes from David Kolb's famous work on learning. His research just confirmed what we all kind of know intuitively, right? You can't really learn to swim by reading a book about it. True learning comes from doing, thinking about what happened, and then trying again. So knowing all that science is great, but how do we actually use this stuff? Well, the whole framework is powered by this really simple but incredibly powerful cycle. Think, try, and adapt. So let's break that down. Think is your observation phase. You're trying to understand the problem and imagine different ways to solve it. Try is where you get your hands dirty. You test an idea, fast and cheap. And adapt. This is the magic step. You pause, reflect on what you learned, and figure out how to make it better. And it's a loop. You just keep going round and round. I absolutely love this metaphor. Think of CreAtionality as a mental gym. Every single time you go through that think, try, adapt cycle, you're doing a rep. You're building your innovation muscles. It trains you to switch smoothly from thinking to doing, from analyzing to experimenting, and maybe most importantly, it trains you to see mistakes not as failures, but just as really valuable data. Okay, enough with the theory. Let's look at how this actually plays out in the real world, because some of the smartest companies out there are using these principles, even if they don't use the same name for it. This chart shows the balance perfectly. Look at Airbnb. Their creative genius was tapping into the emotions of travel, but they balanced that with a ton of rational market analysis, and then they just took action, constantly testing new features. Or take Lego. They nearly went bankrupt, but they bounced back by balancing their designers' wild creativity with cold, hard sales data. That perfect mix gave us things like mindstorms. It wasn't one thing, it was the balance. All right, now let's turn the spotlight around. Because understanding the model is great, but the real magic happens when you start to understand yourself through the model. Just take a second and be honest with yourself. When a big, messy problem lands in your lap, what's your first instinct? Are you the person who immediately grabs a whiteboard to brainstorm a dozen crazy ideas? Or do you open up a spreadsheet and start analyzing all the data? Or do you just want to roll up your sleeves and start doing something, anything, to get moving? Let's do a super quick exercise. If you can, grab a piece of paper, draw 3 circles, and label them: creativity, rationality, and action. Now give yourself a score from 1 to 10 for each one based on what you naturally lean into. Go ahead, pause if you need to. Okay, now look at your scores. What's the shape of your profile? Is it pretty balanced, or is one circle way bigger than the others? This little map gives you a snapshot of your natural tendencies. And hey, there's no right or wrong profile here. This is just about awareness. Maybe you're a super creative person who could benefit from a little more rational planning. Or maybe you're a brilliant analyst who sometimes gets stuck in analysis paralysis and needs a nudge toward action. The goal isn't to be perfect, it's to be aware. And that really brings us to the final, most important thought. This whole thing isn't just a business strategy. It's a way to approach any challenge in your life. So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. If you really made a conscious effort to balance these 3 forces, to strengthen the ones that are a little weaker, what new possibilities could you unlock? What could you really achieve?